Should you get dinner date? You are not Julian, but Julian's subconscious, expressing his inner thoughts and feelings and prompting him to twitch and fidget in response to key presses while he waits for his date, the lovely Mako, to join him for dinner.
I'm getting quite hungry. Did I eat lunch?
That is the game. There is only one story with only one outcome. Julian spends all night waiting for his date, expresses a torrent of insecurity and resentment towards his life and his job, reveals himself to be something of a jerk, and ultimately drinks himself into oblivion when he is finally unable to convince himself Mako is just late and realizes she has stood him up. That is the story. You cannot influence how it turns out, what Julian does or says, or make any kind of choice or input other than to, again, prompt him to twitch and fidget, take a bite to eat, glance at the clock, etc. When I heard of this game quite some time back, I was interested. A game about waiting for someone to show up for dinner? They made a game about that? Surely they must do something fascinating and original with that concept. I enjoy games that explore new ideas of what a game can be and what they can do, and I've been rewarded to find games that manage to go outside the norm in really compelling and rewarding ways. This is not one of those games. Games are about interactivity, choices, experiences. Dear Esther has only one story, but it's a good one, and your progress through it is done at your own pace. You have time to linger, to stop and think, to feel dread or a sense of mystery, time to soak in the environment, to wonder where this is going. Dinner Date is 20 fully voiced minutes that fully convey just how boring and annoying the mind of a neurotic waiting for someone to show up to dinner really would be. The Stanley Parable lets you make choices and explore the meaning of choice and narrative in a game. And, like Dear Esther, you aren't confined to a chair in a tiny apartment. You can move around, explore the world, take the left door or the right. Again, there may be only one path through the game at a given moment, but you're walking it at your own pace. You're still making choices, interacting, and the game is continually responding to you in meaningful ways, reflecting your actions, acknowledging you, and drawing you into its world. In Dinner Date, you can press a key and tap your finger impatiently. What intrigued me about this game is the ordinariness of the setting and the concept. Not every game has to give you a fantasy world and magic powers. As much as I love those things, I'm interested in the idea of a game that explores everyday settings and stories, and doesn't rely on fantastical elements to move the gameplay or the story along. Gone Home is a great example of what I'm talking about. In that game, you explore an ordinary family's home, looking through their belongings and piecing together the story behind their absence. I have never seen a game take such seemingly ordinary, everyday things and make such a compelling experience out of them, telling an interesting story in a relatively mundane setting and doing an incredible job of it. Dinner Date, however, does not. Everything else aside, the story Dinner Date is telling just isn't a very good one. It would be a bad book and a terrible film. It is nothing more than listening to Julian complain and feel sorry for himself, rambling on about his dissatisfaction with his life and his job. And for that matter, he's kind of a jerk. This could be the beginning of a story. What does Julian do the next day? How does he resolve his feelings? How does he deal with work? What happens when he meets Mako next? How does Julian grow and change? What choices does he make? There's a story there, but not here. I get the impression Dinner Date is one of those stories where the author expects us to think that suffering, pain, and alienation are deep, meaningful, and artistic in their own right. If the game had let you make some kind of choice, interact with the world in some way, there might have been some hope for Dinner Date. Something as simple as being able to get up out of your seat and walk around the room would be huge. It would let you, the player, own Julian's decisions and problems, guide the story in some direction. Will you hold out hope that Mako will show up? Will you stop waiting, put away the dishes, and go do something else? What if your role as his subconscious had been to influence him to make the right choices, having no direct control, but guiding him along? That would be a fascinating game, one that could take the same setup and tell a great story. But the game doesn't give you a choice. It doesn't let you move or interact. As Julian's subconscious, all you can do is watch helplessly as the game force-feeds you the story in a stream of consciousness monologue.
Getting quite hungry.
Everything you know about what is going on this night, about Julian's fears and anxieties, you know because the game tells you. No discovery, no choice, no action, no input. It doesn't draw you into the character or his problems, or let you affect them in any way.
This was the only chance
By
I had.
design, the game puts you at arm's length from Julian and his world.
At least he is living out for my sex life.
Dinner Date is, at best, a short film masquerading as a game. It completely misunderstands everything about how a game tells a story and draws a player in, and squanders the seed of a compelling concept.
There's nothing wrong with just a sip of wine. I'm not having the whole bottle, just the one glass. Yeah, go on then. It'll stop me from thinking so much.